Hey, and welcome to How to Take a Break with PM Kester. I am, of course, PM Kester, and I hope you enjoyed Vlogmas. I kind of had some other episodes out there, but I think we ended on a good note. And my goal is to, of course, try to do more consistent vlog type episodes. But I'm happy with what I did this year, but that is beside the point. The goal of today's episode, the theme is to summarize my year of rebirth. This episode is coming out at the same time that a podcast episode is coming out, which is why you see this setup here. That is one of the things that I want to be better at doing and transition into doing more for 2024. Which is simultaneously releasing the podcast episodes and the YouTube videos for everyone. So one of my goals for next year. But for now, let's talk about my year of rebirth. So if you have been following the podcast, following me on IG, you know that at the beginning of each year, I set an intention. And my intention for this year was rebirth. And let's look at the definition for rebirth. Rebirth is the action of reappearing or starting to flourish or increase after a decline, revival. And so I really looked at this almost as my Renaissance year. I had had so much crazy stuff happen to me over the past couple of years. With so many things that align with my theme, right? I had a growth year, and all these great things and all texts that kind of go with that. So I was really looking to revive, to increase, to come back up again. And so I embarked on this rebirth year, and it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint with the lessons and things I gained from the rebirth year, but it also did not disappoint with how my intention was challenged this year. And you know that I like to categorize things. I put things into 3 areas a lot of times when I do intentions, and that is career, relationships, and money. Honey, rebirth and money was a challenge this year. For some reason, I was broke and didn't even recognize why I was broke. I could not figure it out. I have never struggled so mightily for a period of time. I mean, it was horrible, in tears. But I will say that the major lessons I learned about rebirth and money this year was that I really needed to look at my why with money. And what do I mean about that? The same why that I think gets us all in trouble, which is, why am I spending the money this way? For what purpose are these expenses? And is it so I can feel like I'm closer to family or friends? Because someone told me I needed to spend money. If you are an entrepreneur, people always say that you got to spend money to make money. And I had to really think about things like that this year. And I've really gained a new perspective on how I'm going to spend money going forward. But then on the back end, like I said, this summer, crazy. And then like just stuff drying up, just epic levels of brokedom, credit score down. But now looking back, again, gratitude on where I am with money now is seeing me with 2 major loans paid off. Did not start the year with it, didn't see that was coming. And then have another major loan that's gonna be paid off at the end of 2024, which is crazy. But I think I kind of had to learn those lessons so I could get to the rebirth, right? Because increase after decline. Who would have thought my student loans would have been paid off at the end of this year? Who would have thought that my car would be paid off? My God, because looking at me over the summer, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to get like 2 full-time jobs. But I think that's why it's so powerful to set an intention, to walk in that intention, and to really pay attention to what is happening in your life. So the second category of stuff I always look at is my career. I had such a major revival. I think that this may have been one of the biggest intention lessons, areas and lessons that I learned from. this year, and that was the career lessons I learned. The past couple of years have been really rough with me on my 9-to-5 job. I mean, levels of had me rethinking my whole education, my life, why I did the work that I did, because I had like just a horrible bout of managers. I felt overlooked, passed over, insert several adjectives. This year saw me actually connecting with a new team at my job, and then reviving again, intention, flourish, increase after decline, revival. That's the word for rebirth. I started my career journey in my 20s as a journalist and did a lot of public affairs. I have done political campaigns where I have done strategic communications and have had the hardest time trying to make a go of a profession in this area, to the point I put it on the shelf. But when I tell you, you set an intention and out of nowhere, that thing will come back up. Why did public affairs get revived? Why did I get just offered a huge opportunity with my 9-to-5 to pivot over into public affairs, to manage public affairs in a government agency? Who would have thought that? How did that happen? That intention was on fire, and never thought that was not in the cards for me. And really, my career had me thinking about future me and revisiting lost goals. So I ask you, when you look at your intention from this year, and as you think about your intention going forward, what are some lessons that you learned this year, and where do you feel you are being led for 2024? I want you to think about that. All right, and so before I get into the last category, I'm going to make a special editor's note that if you, at the beginning I said that I was recording this at the same time I was doing the podcast episode, which I was, and then my phone wouldn't let me be great. So now from here on out, the video is going to probably have a little bit different content than the actual podcast episode. So, happy end of year. All right, so rebirth and relationships, because you know, relationships is one of the categories that I deal with all the time. My big rebirth lesson this year with relationships is alone. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. And I got to this point sometime this year. Someone was asking me about something, what I was doing, if I was dating. And I just kind of had this epiphany that, you know, I am not in a relationship. I haven't been in a relationship for the past year. I have dated. And one big lesson that I learned this year was this new version of myself that I have become in this past year has really learned relationship lessons surrounding loneliness. I did a lot of dating and entered into like a lot of relationships and situationships, which are still a relationship, when I got divorced due to loneliness and allowing other people to project their loneliness onto me and not really at that time doing the work that needed to be done to deal with those emotions, because that's an emotion that you have to do work on. And a lot of times we get in relationships and partnerships because we are lonely. We end up friends with people that we should not be friends with. Why? Because you don't want to be lonely. You are uncomfortable with the silence. You're uncomfortable with being alone. And so that was my big thing this year, my aha moment, especially when I was dating. I was able to cut some stuff off. And just kind of how I've moved dealing with friendships and stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Was recognizing that I really did get to this point where I had done the work on myself, done the work with therapy and things like that, that I'm really and truly at this point where I am alone, but I am not lonely. And I am so happy for the peace, the joy, and just the openness that comes with it. Yeah. And so from that point, I have 7 things that, so they may not have neatly failed within my top 3 categories that I do when I do intentions, which is money, career, relationships. So I'm going to call these strays, rebirth strays. These are 7 lessons that I learned that when I first started thinking about looking back on my year, these are the top 7 things that came to my mind as lessons learned. And I'm going to start from number 7 and I'm going to go up to number 1. Number 7, you can write your way out. Look on my YouTube channel. I have a video called Write This Down, and it talks about how I started following Yumi Jean-Francois. And she was doing these challenges with Flex and Fly. And one of the things that we learned during one of her challenges, one of them was like a It's My Seasons challenge. And I think she did something else. I can't remember what that was. But if you go into her content, especially on TikTok, you will see these challenges that she did. But one of the things that she taught was how to script. And so scripting is kind of writing things as if it's already happened. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be waking up in my brand new house. It's more than I thought of. The walls are the perfect color that really encapsulates all the things I want to see. You know, things like that. And so I have spent the past year scripting and journaling. And then due to issues and health stuff that happened to me this fall, I added on gratitude. And so I wake up each day and I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And when I tell you, I have been able to go back in my journal and look at things that I wrote down earlier this year and see them manifested in different parts of this year. That has been the biggest part. This something I'm so excited about that happened during this rebirth year, to see really the mindset shift that I have had during this rebirth shift. I am loving this new version of myself, and I am loving the way that I've been able to write yourself out. And don't you let nobody tell you that you can't, because you can. Write it down, make a plan, do some actions with some of this faith that you're putting out there, because you know you can't have faith without works. But I have definitely learned those lessons, and I have seen it. I have seen it happen. Number 6, stop being afraid to look. Oh, this goes for so many things. Stop being afraid to look at your bank statements. You got to face that beast head on. So many of us are living in financial denial because we're not doing that. Some of us are like, and it's not even negative sometimes. Some of us are living in just obtuseness because we won't look and don't recognize that we have the means to bless ourselves. We've been blessed, and we just so scared to look at stuff. We don't recognize that it's stuff here, it's solutions there, but you know, we're afraid to look. We're afraid to look in our relationships. We're afraid to see right us in front of our face. People are showing you and telling you who they are, but you're scared to peel back the veil, peel back the curtain, and look and see what the people showing you. So that was a big rebirth lesson this year, is that I really felt like I opened up my eyes in a lot of areas, and I was able to just kind of sit, look, and just stop being afraid to look and see things that was right in front of me. It is what it is. Number 5, alone but not lonely. We've talked about that. Rewind back. I think I covered that greatly. Number 4, your next chapter might require a whole new cast of characters. If you are one of those people that says no new friends, I need you to stop. I need you to stop. I need you to stop. Because where you are going to next, your current friend group may have a small role in that chapter. And that's not saying kick people to the curb. Please don't do that. But I'm saying I want you to be open to other people and another cast of characters. Where I am now in my 9-to-5 jobs versus where I started this year, a totally different vibe, a totally new set of characters. And if I had not been open to that, and a lot of people are not, like I've had so many people that try to be like, that's not why I don't have any friends. I need to deal with the people I have. I'm not going to another new job because I already know the people over here. You got to get out of that mindset. You have to be open. You got to be open to opening up yourself to new friends, new areas. As you get older, you learn that people have so much stuff going on in their life. I see it all the time. I've seen it happen in mine. The people that I was doing stuff with 3 and 4 years ago, those people have had so much life happen. We've all had so much life happen to us that we're just in different spots. That don't mean we don't care about each other. That don't mean that we're not friends with each other. It's just our time is different. I am so thankful that I was open this year, because I have met so many great people that I did not think I would form such great friendships with. They were outside of my initial friendship group. And those people kind of have helped me see stuff and see myself in another way. That's kind of helped me with this new rebirth chapter of my life. And I think I needed to have them talking to my life, doing things in my life for this new chapter. So keep that in mind. Be open. Number 3, reward is on the other side of the obstacle. I took this from T.D. Jakes, and this is just like a summary. But his big thing was just like, we all go through trials, but a lot of people don't reach the part of the triumph because they get hung up on the trials. And so they stay on the other side of the trial. They don't try to work their way through it because they're like, it's too hard, never mind. And they go sit down. And a lot of times you don't recognize that the reward, their triumph, is on the other side of their trial. And you have to push through it. Even when I was going through all the crazy stuff at my job, I mean, I was being bullied. I was being retaliated against. And I had some people, even a manager, and they were trying to be well-meaning, but it was just kind of like, why don't you just lay low? Lay low for like 5 to 10 years and let people leave and retire and just find something to do. Maybe this is when you just read a lot of books and stuff like that. So they wanted me to just roll over and die. And no, sometimes you have to kind of like fight your way through that trial. And you get to the triumph. And I'm happy that I did not listen to people. It's that stubbornness. And I fought my way through it. And it was hard. It is hard when you are fighting through trials and people is pop, 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 pop. The world is hitting you all upside your head. It's hard. But you have got to believe deep down that a reward is on the other side of that obstacle. If I can find that T.D. Jakes video, I'll try to find it. I'm gonna look. I'll link it if I can find it. Number 2, change is hard. Rebirth is hard. This goes hand in hand when I've said previously on other videos and other podcasts that whenever you set an intention, watch how the world comes up to challenge that intention. This year has taught me that anything worth having is probably going to be challenging. And it's going to be hard. But I'm happy with where I am now. Get through that hard. You can do it. I believe in you. Excuse me, y'all. Finally, this came to me this week. My biggest lesson for this year, and this is something that I'm taking with me into 2024, and I am walking with it, I am talking with it, I believe in it, and you can get mad at me about it, but I'm no longer accepting people congratulating me for being strong. Stop congratulating me on being strong. This is not something I want to be celebrated for going forward. I am accepting help. I am telling people that I want help. I'm not accepting a bunch of struggle and trials and things like that because you think that this is what I need, or because I've shouldered bad things, that it's okay for me to keep shouldering it. I'm not walking in acceptance of that anymore. My life does not have to be a life of struggle. And that is what the rebirth year ultimately taught me, is that I don't have to accept it. I am deserving of happiness. I am deserving of peace. I am deserving of love. Drop a comment. Let me know your intention for 2023 and one lesson that you learned from it. Also, I told you to talk about gratitude. So, what are you grateful for? What things, when you were journaling about gratitude during the month of December, was a gratitude lesson that you learned? Because that has also been a big thing, a big part of my rebirth year as well. Until next time, I want you to find a little time to take a break. Bye.